everyone. We are talking about secure by design, building trust in high stakes ecosystems. I'm here with Eddie and David, and I thought I'd leave it up to you to introduce yourselves. Eddie, why don't we start with you?
Eddie Clark, President and CEO of Solve IT, based in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are an managed IT managed service provider serving the Carolinas, Eastern Pennsylvania, and Western New Jersey.
Fantastic. And David?
I'm a systems engineer at SwissTXT. We provide IT services for the SRG, which is the Swiss public broadcaster.
Great. And where are you tuning in from?
From Switzerland.
Fantastic. I'll start with, when we say secure by design, what does that mean in practice? Eddie, can you share a real world example of how secure by design differs from a traditional security approach?
Yeah, sure. I work primarily in wide area networking and cybersecurity in that arena. So I'll phrase my answer with that in mind. Secure by design essentially means that when you're working on a purpose-built application to perform a specific function, you keep in mind security principles when you're in the design phase of the application. An example would be a company called Citracom. Their network control product, security product is called Control One. That is not open source, it's a proprietary system, but it was built with the idea or concept of zero trust technology in mind. And what that means is that it's built leveraging agents and a control plane that leverages an end user's identity to give them predefined access to resources across a local and wide area network. So that is the best example I can think of secure by design technology as it applies to networking.
Sure, that's a great one. And David, you mentioned you work on broadcast systems, and reliability is critical in that situation, I can imagine. How do you explain to stakeholders why security can't just be slapped on at a later time?
Yeah, I think it's really important to see that there is no reliability without real security. Because if your systems are insecure and something happens, a hack or something else, then your reliability goes down the drain. So you really want to have security from the start, because most of the time it is also way harder to incorporate security after the fact, after the system is deployed and after it is live and maybe already broadcasting. So you don't want to have downtimes for that, yeah.
Right, and in a broadcast situation where you're beaming live to potentially millions of people, I can see that that's very important. I want to talk a little bit about social engineering attacks. The MGM attack a few years ago that wreaked havoc on a lot of Vegas casinos was prompted essentially because an attacker made a phone call, asked for a password reset, and that completely circumvented this very high security casino apparatus. How can enterprises and consumers take a secure by design approach to prevent this kind of disaster? And what are some other emerging threats that make these principles more critical today? Eddie, we'll start with you if you have thoughts on that.
Sure. In fact, I had my peer group meeting this week, and that is one of the hot topics is social engineering hacks. And we can think about exploits in terms of code and access, but when it comes to humans and human interaction, exploiting a weakness there is Sometimes people haven't thought through their processes, or companies haven't thought through their processes. And anytime you need to, or an end user needs to have a password reset, there should be a process in place where you verify the end user or caller's identity. One of the ways that we spoke about doing that was a callback method. It can be something as simple as that process alone, where the support technician actually calls the end user back on the phone number that's registered under the user's account, just to verify that's who they are. There are other applications that exist in the market, like QuickPass, for instance, where the end user has an app on their mobile phone and they receive a code, or you can send a text to verify that the caller is in fact who they say they are. Had MGM followed these best practices for their help desk, it's likely that hack could have been avoided. So
Yes.
I'm not really sure how to factor that into like a software development lifecycle, because I'm not a developer, but certainly those identity verification processes and procedures are very important when it comes to things like that.
Right. And I think this example is one that shows the difficult balance between usability, the need to reset your password sometimes, and you can't get into a machine where you can contact IT via another method, and also security.
Yes.
David, do you have other thoughts on this? Other emerging threats, perhaps, that you're thinking about, or other ways this attack could have been prevented?
Yeah, it's a really hard problem to solve, because you can't just put some tech in there and then it's okay, because it's really about humans and processes, and you just have to think about the processes. You want to have a unphishable help desk, and some ways you could do that is involve passkeys or out-of-band approval, or some of those options that Eddie mentioned. And I think it's only going to get worse, because now we have stuff like deepfake voices and even faces. So you potentially cannot even trust a phone call at all. So I think this is going to be a very big problem, and everyone should think about their processes.
When companies claim to build security in from day one, what can consumers or customers look to verify that claim? How does one distinguish genuine security by design practices from security theater? And Eddie, do you want to take that one on first?
Sure. So there's actually an entire security framework built around this that's called the Open Worldwide Application Security Project, or OWASP. It's designed for, it's community led, and it's designed for open source projects, which include coding, documentation, and some development standards. Now, if an application is being developed under those standards, then you can be assured that it is security first in the way that it's being developed and designed from the conceptual phase. That's a crucial piece.
So looking for standards or certifications. And David, do you have more thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think without having insider knowledge, just looking at a product or a company from the outside, a good way to judge them is by how transparent they are. The best case is, of course, if the code is open source. But even if it is not, you can look if they have good documentation, if they document what cryptographic processes they use, if they have bug bounty, and if they have anything on vulnerability, how they handle that and stuff like that. So if they have nothing to show for their claims, then it's probably theater.
I think regular consumers and even a non-technical workforce has trouble understanding what open source is or the benefits of open source. Do one of you want to tackle if you're interfacing with open source software? Just because it's open source doesn't mean it's necessarily more secure. Is there anything else that one should look for to feel more confident in its security?
Well, if it's not open or if it's got proprietary coding, think about it in terms of, businesses and budgets are constrained. They're limited in the number of eyes that they can put on their code, right? They're limited in the number of quality assurance agents they have actually testing the code to make sure that it's secure and safe. Whereas the opposite of that is in an open source environment where coders have the benefit of peer review without the limits of a budget or budgetary constraints. So you can assume that the likelihood of catching a security flaw is greatly increased because of that concept.
Right. David, sometimes open source gets tagged as less secure. How do you address that misconception, especially when speaking to less technical stakeholders?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Eddie has said. It's just about the openness. Maybe the average consumer can't go and read the code and verify it for themselves, but they, especially if it's a large project, they can be assured that someone, a security researcher, has looked at it and is looking at it actively. So it's not just that it's safer by default. It's the processes that make it safer and the openness.
And so I'll follow up with that by asking, when you do introduce security tools, what does that look like in practice? Where do your teams usually hit friction when you're introducing something new into their workflow?
Yeah, so the biggest friction points we have are always legacy tools, because the state of the art, I'm looking at this from a infrastructure perspective, is single sign-on everywhere, SCIM for join remove reliever stuff, and so legacy tools that do not support any of the new standards, that is a big friction point and is always holding us back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Eddie, for organizations who are just starting their secure by design journey, what's the first step that they should take, and what's a common mistake that you see in the wild?
Sure. Well, it's really important to initially establish a security first mindset, and that has to be done across the entire organization, and there absolutely must be top level buy-in. So it's got to be a top down driven process, and it has to align across the entire organization to include developers, designers, operations teams, product managers, sales, the whole kit and caboodle. Uh, then a secure development lifecycle practice has to be created, which includes threat modeling, coding standards, and quality control. So security's got to be iterative and integrated, not just reactive or an afterthought. You can't really add eggs to a cake after it's baked. So it's got to start from the beginning.
Right. David, I'll go to you now. Developers, teams are being told to shift left on security, also ship faster, also adhere to regulations like the EU's Cyber Resilience Act, which is raising the stakes. How do you balance speed, compliance, real security, and can this actually become a competitive advantage?
Yeah, I think everything goes hand in hand, and when you put security first, security by design, you can catch problems early, and you don't have to fix them later when it's more expensive to fix them. So I think it's a good thing, and it actually saves money and gives you a competitive advantage.
Right. Having to rebake the cake with the eggs is a much more time-consuming and expensive
Exactly.
proposition than
Yeah.
adding it later. This is a question for you both. If listeners can take away just one actionable insight about applying secure by design practices in their work or personally in their own digital lives, what should it be? And Eddie, we'll start with you.
I would say do your homework. If you're looking at a business application that you intend to use for running your business, then you want to do your homework on the owners of that application, the vendors. Like, what are their credentials? What are the certifications? What frameworks did they adhere to when they were building it? Read your end user license agreement. So many times we just say, yes, okay, we click it and we move right through it without reading it. This is an important point if you're selecting applications to run your business on. You really need to read through those agreements. I've seen some cases, particularly in the healthcare vertical, where software companies put the cyber security risk back on their users. So say you're a physician-owned practice and you're using your practice management solution or EHR, that end user license agreement can state that if you have a machine that's infected and that with something, and that something travels up into their servers, then you can be held liable for that. And that factors into so many other areas of risk for the practice. If you're going to be held liable or accountable for that, how does that impact your cyber liability insurance coverage? We've advised and had some of our clients actually go out and get riders to help compensate for that. So that insurance is supposed to be a last resort, but if you need it in a situation like this, you want to ensure that your coverage is going to fully cover your business in the event that something happens. So all of that is related.
Sure. And just because end user agreements can be tens of thousands of words, let me ask you a quick follow-up. Are there other red flags? You mentioned that healthcare use case. Are there other red flags that one could skim for?
You can look for security authorizations. Is the application a SOC 2 Type 2 certificate? Has it achieved that certification? If it has, you can have some confidence in it. That would be the main thing that I would look for.
And David, what about you? Is there a takeaway that you could offer folks who are looking to apply this in their work or personal lives?
Yeah, I would say turn on phishing resistant MFA everywhere if it's available, passwordless, and stop using SMS as a second factor.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about passwordless logins where the one-time code is texted to the user?
Yeah, that's not great. No. What you see often is also just email, and you get the code by email or a login link by email. But what you really want is some phishing resistant way to log in.
Okay, thank you both for these very valuable insights. We have a rapid fire round. If you want to answer quickly, you're welcome to. If you want to expand on that, you're also welcome to. And I'll start with name one security feature you wish every consumer app had by default. I have a feeling both of you have already mentioned what this would be, but Eddie, we'll start with you. What's on your wish list? Security wish list.
Passkeys. They are so much more secure instead of passwords and MFA or just the SMS authentication. Passkeys use public and private keys instead of these. They're seamless. It's easy for the user. There are no password resets, and it's resistant to phishing techniques.
And David, what about you?
Passkeys are good. I would say end-to-end encryption for everything.
Yeah. What's one thing consumers are doing right with security that actually surprises you? Eddie, I'll start with you.
Well, that consumers are doing, I would say I've seen more. I don't deal a lot with consumers, but I have seen a lot more people adopting password managers. I hear about, well, let me check my Excel spreadsheet that has all my passwords in it. No, don't do that. Don't write them down and put them under your keyboard. Don't keep a notebook. Get a password manager.
And David?
I was going to say the same thing. Just a couple of years ago, no one outside of our space was using password managers, and when the big manufacturers, Apple, Google, etc., started shipping built-in password managers, a lot of people started using them and using them right.
And I think it was a nice gateway drug, for lack of a better word, to other more robust password managers.
Absolutely.
I think when I share the benefits of a shared vault with couples, they're like, okay, yes, I'll pay any amount of money for this.
Yeah, and also it's from a corporate standpoint, having the ability to cut off an end user's access into company used systems by simply cutting off their access to the vault is a tremendous security benefit. That is one of the biggest things that we've seen in our customer base is, someone leaves suddenly, you not only want to cut off their access to it, but you want to be able to transfer that vault over to their replacement so that we've got a business continuity component.
Great point. What's a security feature that users love once they try it, but companies are still afraid to make the default? David, do you want to take that one first?
Yeah, we've already mentioned it, but I think it's passwordless authentication. For some reason, a lot of companies are very hesitant. It is very new, of course, but I think users love it, and it's very easy, and it works very well.
Eddie?
Yeah, I concur completely with what David said. It's, they think about it, oh, it's something else I have to learn. Oh no, it's something else I have to do. But all we have to do is explain the risks involved with continuing to do the same things the same way and expect the same result. It's not, the landscape's changing, threats are rising. And once I show them it's just a simple click, and all of a sudden you're authenticated. They love it.
And from a company standpoint, what do you think the friction is? Is it the implementation difficulty? What's the holdup there, do you think?
Two things: cost and fear of change.
Yeah.
Almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
David, you agree on that?
I do.
Yeah. Okay, last one. What's one security improvement that makes users' lives easier and more secure? The ultimate win-win.
I would say the integration of the secure password manager with biometrics, either facial recognition, fingerprint. One of those mechanisms, I think it just makes everything so seamless.
David?
I'm coming back to SMS, and I would say replacing SMS with something better, like a passkey or some push notification or something, because I don't like SMS. It doesn't work very well, and it's quite tedious.
I'll throw in one last rapid fire of my own because we have some time. When you meet up with your parents, other loved ones, and you have control of their phone or you see them making mistakes, what's the one thing that you do to help make them more secure? Do you dig into their settings? Do you change their ABC123 password? What is it? Eddie, I'll start with you.
Well, yeah. So my mother, it's kind of the litmus test really when I'm vetting new products that may come into our stack, is I think about, can my mother use this? And if she can, then perhaps salespeople can use it. Not to dig on salespeople, but and if that can happen, then user adoption usually goes a little bit better. So she's actually part of my vetting team when we're looking at new products in our stack.
Nice. David, what about you?
Yeah, I think the most infuriating thing is the passwords, as you mentioned it, or when I see them reset the password for the same site the third time this month. Yeah, I have tried very hard to establish password managers in my family, and I think I've had some success.
The one thing I do for my loved ones, many of whom had 111 as their phone passcode, is to immediately change it to an alphanumeric or a 6-digit passcode, because too many people do not secure their physical device and have an easily guessable passcode, which is the keys to their kingdom should they ever lose that device.
Right.
Stolen.
And then I've also had some success, particularly with those who aren't using a password manager, introducing the concept of a passphrase. What is a passphrase that you can think of that you will remember? My dog is blue. Whatever, any number or combination of words is much more secure than a single word where you're changing the letter A to an @ symbol or something along those lines. So that has helped somewhat as well.
Great. Thank you both for the valuable insights and advice.